All right, we've got some breaking news out of Minneapolis. For those of you familiar with the city, this is in the area of Nicollet and East 26. Law enforcement are responding to an incident in South Minneapolis that is involving federal law enforcement officers. This is the scene right now. It does seem to be a shooting. We are still gathering information. This is very, very early on. The Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has tweeted, "I just spoke with the White House after another horrific shooting by federal agents this morning. Minnesota has had it. This is sickening. The president must end this operation, pull the thousands of violent, untrained officers out of Minnesota now." Again, this is we don't have a lot of information. There's a small crowd gathering, and again, it becomes very hard when you're looking at images to distinguish amongst people wearing uniforms. We did see an image a moment ago. That was a Minneapolis State Police officer. These masked folks, though, appear to be federal officers. As you can tell, they don't often have uniforms on them. Somebody just pulled out, this person right in front in the gray has pulled out a pepper spray can. You can see that in his hand. There have been pepper spray deployed. You can see that they've now formed a phalanx of some sort, which typically happens when a crowd gathers and the police are trying to keep people away from the scene. The scene has been cordoned off. You can see on the left of the screen, if the camera moves one way or the other, you'll see police tape that has been put off. That is the initial part of an investigation where they want people behind it, but you can hear the chanting of the crowd. There are protesters facing off. I think it's becoming increasingly evident that the people we're looking at in the middle of the screen right now are federal officers, whether they're DHS or ICE. They're following the protocol that those officers tend to have. They're fully masked. You can see that the person in front of you has a gas mask on. The gas mask will protect that officer if he deploys what's in his hand, which is pepper spray. I can't see the hands of the other officers to know what they're doing. They do say some of their vests say police on them, but it's an important distinction. ICE officers, DHS officers are not police. They're not subject to the same rules as we've been discussing for a very long time. They're not subject to the rules, but there is a law enforcement, meaning a non-ICE and DHS response to this incident in Nicollet and East 23rd. The reporting we're getting and the word from the governor is that this is a shooting by federal officers. This is what Tim Walz has said. There's been a shooting in Minneapolis by federal officers. We don't know who's been shot. We don't know the condition of whomever has been shot. But here you can see that they're cordoning off the area. I want to just listen into this for a moment to get a sense of what's happening. All right, so the crowd is chanting at these agents. Again, these seem to be federal agents in front of us, not state police or Minneapolis State Police. And the reason you can know that is that Minneapolis State Police and Minneapolis City Police tend to wear full uniforms that identify them as such. Here you can see people with different pants, different shirts. And again, I now see at least two officers with pepper spray in their hands. You can see them in their right hands, the two in the center of the screen. Pepper spray is a very dangerous thing. Whenever there's any wind, and you can sort of see from the smoke rising, the steam rising on the left, that there is some wind in Minneapolis. Pepper spray ends up hitting a whole lot of people, including sometimes the people who spray it, which is why you're now seeing a few of these officers in front of you with gas masks. They don't seem to be doing anything about it right now, but a lot of them have pepper spray in their hands. The crowd we're hearing is growing in the area. I don't see the police. I don't see the scene of the shooting at the moment. I'm presuming this is behind them because that's what they're blocking the crowd from. Again, a federal shooting. Okay, now we got folks trying to move the crowd back. So it looks like the police tape has come down. They are attempting to put it back up.
What's your name and badge number? What's your name and badge number? Unfortunately, we can still see your face through your fucking mouth, bitch! What the fuck is wrong with you? Where's your humanity?
Yeah, I cover my face, You are a traitor! You're a traitor to your country! History will not forgive you!
All right, for those of you who are just tuning in now, let me just tell you what is going on. This is the, I'm not sure exactly if this is the intersection, but this shooting has been reported to be at Nicollet and East 26th in Minneapolis. According to the governor, this is a shooting by federal officers, ICE or DHS officers. We do know that there's an actual law enforcement presence, and I make that clear that these are not law enforcement. These are federal officers of DHS or ICE. There are police from Minneapolis State Police and Minnesota State Police and Minneapolis City Police on the scene of a shooting. We do not know who's been shot. We do not know what the condition is of the person who's been shot, but there has been a shooting. Governor Walz says that he has spoken to President Trump. There is a cordoned off area. You can see police tape behind you in the distance. You can see police tape on your left, and then you can see that the tape sort of started to come down. So these officers moved in. But there are some people on this side of the tape. And the police, so these are not police. I want to be very clear. These are not police. These appear to be federal officers. They are masked, fully masked, which is typical of ICE and DHS officers. A number of them are holding pepper spray in their hands. We haven't seen any of it deployed just yet, although we have seen pepper spray and flashbang grenades and tear gas used very frequently in Minneapolis. See their right hands? You can see this officer right in front of you in his right hand. He's got pepper spray, which sounds kind of harmless. Some of you may carry it around on your person. This is a different type of pepper spray. It's actually pretty dangerous and harmful. But we're trying to figure out where the crowd control scene is here, because there's a large crowd growing, and these are not what you would typically do to control a crowd. You wouldn't put federal officers in there. So somewhere around here, Alex Tabbitt is on the scene, so he's going to get to us as soon as he can to tell us what the scene is. The crowd control tape is coming down, so these federal officers seem to be continuing to reinforce this. Again, what we are trying to understand, I've just seen a tweet now from Minneapolis Senator Amy Klobuchar. She says this: there has been another shooting involving federal agents in Minneapolis, and I'm working to get more information. I will update as soon as possible. To the Trump administration and the Republicans in Congress who have stood silent, get ICE out of our state now. Get ICE out of our state now. Amy Klobuchar posting that tweet less than 10 minutes ago. Again, what we are looking at is a sort of an increasingly tense situation between I don't know if I want to call them protesters. These are people in Minneapolis who seem to be gathering around this shooting. Clearly, this wasn't an organized event, because I don't know if anybody was expecting a shooting. But these are federal officers. Again, an important distinction to make. You'll see on their vest that says police. These are not police. These are federal officers. They are either ICE agents or Border Patrol. Both of them are playing an active role in Minneapolis. Border Patrol is sort of controlled by Tom Homan and Greg Bovino, who you've seen. In fact, you saw him deploying gas and pepper the other day, or they're ICE agents. We don't know what the nature of the confrontation was that led to this, but someone has been shot in Minneapolis at Nicollet and East 26. Let's listen in.
Every town, fuck ICE, shut it down. Every city, every town, fuck ICE, shut it down. Every city, every town, fuck ICE, shut it down. Every city, every town, fuck ICE, shut it down. Every city, every town, fuck ICE, shut it down. Every city, every town, fuck ICE, shut it down. Every city, every town.
Obviously, there's some profanity going on, but this is the news. This is what is happening right now. The response, Minneapolis has become such a flashpoint of response by citizens or residents to this ICE presence that can sometimes feel very, very chaotic. Going back to the shooting of Renee Good more than a week and a half ago, there were reports from ICE about how that went down. And then we saw video. What you can see here is a lot of these people who are gathered have got their phones up. They are recording what's going on, which ends up being very helpful to try and get to the bottom of what's going on.